My husband was furious that I pushed out a dark-skinned baby and called our daughter a welfare princess. Now he's apologizing nonstop, but I don't think I can ever forgive him. I gave birth to my daughter 6 months ago, and it should have been the happiest moment in my life. When my daughter was born, her skin was very dark and looked like she could have two biological parents who were of African descent. My husband Jim was furious and accused me of cheating and left right then and there. He told everyone on both sides of the family what happened. Online, he announced that I pushed out a dark-skinned baby and was going to, he was divorce me. While he didn't say any of the racist words, he did make comments about our daughter being a welfare princess and how I was going to be just another baby mama. His family and a lot of our friends all called to say how upset they were at me and called me really nasty names. My mother was by my side the entire time, and I kept professing my innocence. Jim refused to pick me up from the hospital, threw my stuff out on the lawn, and changed the locks, so I had to stay with my parents. When my sister called to ask for the baby stuff, Jim texted me pictures of the bare nursery room and said he got rid of everything. He even destroyed my art studio. I like to paint, and the art I made, and told me my work would be too awful to sell. I was distraught and tried to focus on my baby. Weeks went by, and Jim refused to speak to me directly, and has never once asked about our child. Eventually, he agreed to do a paternity, and he was 100% the father. No one could believe the results, and it was done again. Jim's the dad. Around that same time, one of Jim's cousins did the ancestry thing, and there was around 30% of African ancestry in the family. This combined with the test, Jim's paternal great-grandmother admitted to having an affair around the time Jim's grandfather was born, and because he could pass, she just assumed her husband was the father. Since then, Jim has been reaching out, and everyone has come to apologize, and while it did feel good to feel vindicated, the damage has been done. I can't unhear or unsee all the horrible things that was said and done, not just to me, but to my child as well. Jim made some very racist remarks, things that I thought he'd never say, and he did it so easily. Regardless of what our daughter looks like, I don't want her to be around that. What else will Jim and his family say or do the next time they get mad? How are they going to treat our daughter when she does something that upsets them? Jim has been begging for forgiveness. I said I needed time. He asked to see the baby, and I let him, but I'm too afraid to physically hand her to him. He's repairing the nursery and keeps asking me what I would like, and I cry every time saying we already had what I liked, and some of the items that we had can't be replaced. He asked me if I still loved him, and I admitted that he showed me his worst self, and I don't know if I could live with that image. I didn't mean to be hurtful, but it's how I feel. Based on the pictures Jim sent me, he didn't take a sledgehammer to the crib or anything. He just took stuff down to either return it for the money or gave it away. While deeply hurtful, I wouldn't call it violent, but maybe it is. Update 2. First, my parent who was adopted did the Ancestry/23 thing, and it turns out that Jim wasn't the only one who had African ancestry. My parent had at least 45%, which means I have at least 20%. I am legally separated from my husband with primary custody, and I'm living with my parents until further notice. He still keeps apologizing and wants me to come back to the house. He even offered to leave so I could stay with our daughter, but I don't want to and really like having the support of my parents. My dad is retired, so he does a lot of the babysitting while my mother and I work remotely. I do go to the house every so often so Jim can see his daughter, and for couples counseling via telecom. In one of the sessions, Jim confessed something really hurtful, and some of you guessed right. He cheated. It was while we were dating before he proposed, and his treatment towards me was a projection. It was with an ex-girlfriend who had cheated on him, and he hooked up with her as an ego boost. He started to feel guilty but was too scared that I would walk away to ever confess. Jim also admitted that he was scared when I got pregnant. Our baby wasn't planned. Was very anxious about being a father, but just pretended to be excited because he didn't want to look like an A. My husband was so willing to believe that our daughter wasn't his because he thought he had an out. Now that he knows that our child is his and has spent time with her, Jim regrets everything and just wants his family back and is willing to spend the rest of his life making it up to us. This was all deeply hurtful, and I've cried about it more than once. Jim has been lying to me, and my ability to trust him hasn't improved at all. When the holidays came around, Jim's parents asked about seeing their grandchild, and I didn't want to. They told me that it was selfish of me to keep her away, and I reminded them of their past. They said that they've already apologized and tried to minimize the situation. They said that I can't be angry forever, and that I need to learn to forgive them. I'm so ashamed of ever loving and marrying into this family, and wonder why I didn't see this before. I've decided to contact a lawyer and will be filing for divorce after my daughter's first birthday.